Now in today's video, we're going to be running through the best wildcard team heading into the quarterfinals. So of course, if you've been patient and kept that chip, this video is all for you. And maybe if you're not on a wildcard, there's going to be some decent picks as well with your free transfers this game week. Now, before we head into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 15,000 subscribers before the start of the new FPL season, and we are every single video getting a little bit closer to reaching that goal. Of course, like I said, this is going to be the wildcard video. These currently are the projected betting data odds. Of course, we'll have the updated ones from 11fi and some other potential models as we get closer to the deadline, but these are the ones that I've worked out from the Bet365 market. This is the clean sheet odds and the projected goal odds heading into the quarterfinals, and what we're seeing there is probably, I would say, maybe 3-4 teams that probably we are worth targeting this game week. Of course, Chelsea being one of them. We're seeing them top of the clean sheet odds with a 40% probability of that. We're also seeing them third for the projected goals this week. Real Madrid second for the clean sheet, top for the projected goals. So definitely going to be looking at both their defenders and attackers heading into this game week. Al Hilal, definitely another team as well to be considering. Decent on the clean sheets. Okay on the projected goals, a little bit further down, but still a tasty fixture. High probability that they should be getting through as well to the semi-finals. So I definitely think they're worth taking a look at as well. And then finally, from an attacking perspective, it is looking more likely from the betting markets that PSG are going to progress ahead of Bayern Munich. So I definitely think it is worth kind of favouring PSG as a side a little bit more rather than Bayern Munich, in my personal opinion. In terms of the teams to probably be avoiding, I think you can see Dortmund, definitely not a team we want too many players from. Of course, we've got, the bottom of the clean sheet odds, bottom as well of the projected goals. So for me personally, just not worth a team investing in. I don't think I've got any Dortmund players, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. Of course, we do get quite a lot of transfers heading into the semi-finals anyway, so if one of the surprises does happen in this round, we still should be able to pull it back anyway. And of course, only being a -3 hit, I think, you should feel a lot more comfortable about taking hits, considering players pick up more points for scoring. And of course, like I said, it is only a -3 hit, which is, 25% less than we're used to seeing with the Champions League Fantasy, or of course, FPL as well. Like I said, those are the betting data odds so far. Of course, we'll have updated ones as we get closer to the quarterfinals. But let's head into that wildcard team. Okay, wasting no time, let's talk through this wildcard draft then. Starting off first with our goalkeeper picks, and it is going to be Sanchez and it is going to be Thibaut Courtois. We saw both of these goalkeepers high up on those projected clean sheets from the betting market so far for Matchday 5. Of course, as well, they are on different sides of the draw. So, of course, they're not going to meet till the final. So we're kind of keeping, both goalkeepers on either side. So, we've still got at least one probably playing if, of course, one does fall out of the tournament, maybe in this round or, of course, in the next round as well. Sanchez, unfortunately, has gone over the 5% mark, so we won't be picking up any more points for him as a scouting bonus, and I do only imagine that is going to increase with Chelsea's probably easy side of the draw. They should be probably expected to go to the final now, considering the stature of the club and considering some of the sizes of the other opponents as well on this side of the draw. Like I said, Thibaut Courtois is going to be our other goalkeeper as well, with, of course, Real Madrid's high probability of clean sheet and progression heading into this match day. Let's move on then into the defence, and we're going to start off first with Cucurella. Again, that pick is based around the high probability of Chelsea progressing and, of course, the clean sheet odds. But if you've been watching him this tournament, my oh my, I'm not sure the last round against Benfica how he didn't come away with an attacking return. The guy is absolutely everywhere and a real freak, and definitely want to be watching for FPL next season. Considering some of the positions he's been getting into this tournament, I do think he is on the kind of the close verge to a potential mega haul. An attacking return and a clean sheet is definitely on the cards at some point for him this tournament. It's not really happened so far yet, but with this high probability of a clean sheet, Chelsea with a high chance of progression as well. Their projected goals are looking pretty decent overall as well. I think he could be one of those gems that really goes under the radar this week. So definitely a pick I would be recommending to you guys. Next up is going to be Samuel Xavier from Fluminense. Again, that game, I'm not really too sure how to call it. The betting markets are suggesting it's going to be a more kind of favoured win for Al Hilal, but Fluminense this tournament have been very, very decent in terms of their clean sheets. Obviously kept one against Inter, kept one against Sundowns. They also kept one in their first game against Borussia Dortmund as well. So they know how to keep these big sides at bay as well. They've got plenty of defenders to be picking from as well, under 5%. We've gone for Samuel Xavier here. He has played pretty much all of the games. Obviously was on the bench for Matchday 2, but since then has been in their starting 11 every other game since. And I do imagine with this, of course, competition hotting up now, I think he's still going to remain in the squad. Under 5%, like I said, 4.2 million. Definitely a player I would be looking to get in. Same with Hakimi. You know, the guy's put in back-to-back mega hauls, to be honest, hasn't he? 62% owned now. He does just feel like one of those players you're just unfortunately going to have. Probably the standout captain as well from this PSG side, considering what he's been doing. Like I said, back-to-back 14-point mega hauls. Considering his ownership, and especially if you're in a decent position in terms of rank, he's probably going to be one of those players that would absolutely decimate you if you didn't have him. And of course, he did go off. Of course, PSG, they're fancied as well to progress through to the next stage of the competition. Their clean sheet numbers aren't great this week, but I still think Hakimi is going to be one of those standout picks you need to be selecting ahead of match day 5. Renan Lodi, again, we're going to be finding quite a few players under 5%. Of course, looking at the left-hand side of this draw, and Renan Lodi is one of those, had a really, really prolific season from fullback as well. We do have a little bit of money in the bank, so you could, of course, go for João Cancelo, but I've gone for Renan Lodi purely down to the fact that he is under 5% and comes in at a bargain bottom price of 4.5 million. Now, the results haven't quite been there for him yet. Obviously, a 9 and an 8 pointer, but it is those attacking returns. Again, I do feel he is another player that has been exceptionally close to picking up one of those mega hauls. So I really, really like him at 4.5 million. You get the scouting bonus. Their clean sheet numbers for this week are looking pretty decent as well, around a 30% chance of that happening. So yeah, I like Renan Lodi as a pick. I think he could be an absolutely fantastic player to go and select as well. And it does, what it allows you to do is pretty much pick up 3 kind of mega haul defenders in Cucurella, Hakimi, and finally Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, off the back of his first big score this tournament, a 10-pointer for him. Before that, 2 7-pointers as well. Trent, like I said, high probability of clean sheet, high probability of progression to the next round for Real Madrid, and it does seem like he is starting to find his feet, and he was starting to whip in some balls in that game against Juventus that was like, okay, this is the Trent of Liverpool. This is a guy you need to have from an FPL perspective because of what he offers for this side. So I'm a big fan of Trent being in there, and like I said, picking up Renan Lodi and Samuel Xavier as well gives you that budget to, of course, go and pick some more exciting picks going forward, but also allows you to go and get those more premium defenders that can, of course, hit those double-digit hauls like Hakimi, like Cucurella, and, of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's head on then into the midfield, and we're going to start off with one of the players that is actually in the race for the Golden Boot. It is going to be Pedro Neto. Now, as you can see, has been doing pretty decent, to be honest, across the tournament. Every game that he's played, he has scored in. Chelsea, again, top 4 clean sheets, but the projected goals are a little bit lower in this game, but still, I think Pedro Neto, probably one of those players that you kind of just got to have, considering the form that he's been in for this entire tournament. Like I said, has scored in every single game that he has played in. That, to me, just seems like a player we've got to be, of course, having in a wildcard team. Chelsea with, again, high chance of progression and one of the favourites to go and reach the final now, considering the side of the draw they're on. Cole Palmer finally got some open play returns, didn't he? He got 2 assists in this game against Benfica. Also picked up a chance created point as well. Again, would be another player that comes in kind of a little bit, I would say, especially amongst the engaged community on this game. Probably one of those that not many people are going to be having, and he's not really an easy player to get in at 9.6 million. People are probably going to have to do a little bit of manoeuvring around, especially, you know, if you're not on a wild card this week. So I like Cole Palmer as an option. Of course, it does fit the talisman profile for this Chelsea side. He is the penalty taker, gets involved with a lot of free kicks and corners and stuff like that, which is, of course, something I'm always looking for. And maybe getting those assists has, of course, just broken that duck that he was on. Of course, no open play returns in like 27 games. But hopefully that has now been broken and he can start getting back to the Cole Palmer we all know and love. and we start to see him warm up heading into this new FPL season. Next up is going to be one of the cheap options from Real Madrid. It is going to be Güler. Unfortunately, now over 5% after last night's 7-pointer, as you can see here. Pretty decent across the board. Played decent minutes. Got a tackle point somehow, but it is that chance created. And did have a pretty decent game and has had a pretty decent tournament, to be honest. As you can see, a 9-pointer and a 4-pointer thrown in there for 6.5 million. Again, gives you another Real Madrid player for this interesting clash against Borussia Dortmund. So I like him as a pick. Same with Vitinha as well. I know a lot of people, you know, have Vitinha, but there's a very good reason for that. He just continually keeps picking up assists in this tournament. Again, one of those players that doesn't really, you know, catch the eye from an FPL perspective, but just seems to be getting in the right places for PSG. Of course, is the penalty taker as well for this side, and that is something I always love and adore, because if you do look at the top goal scorer currently in the Club World Cup, it is Di Maria, who's no longer in the tournament and didn't score an open play. All four goals from penalties. That is how explosive penalties can be, especially in a short format tournament as well. It can potentially lead to you winning the golden boot. So Vitinha as the penalty taker for that PSG side, I'm all there for it. Next up is going to be a spicy pick within the team, and I definitely think you could have another spicy pick in there. And it is going to be Ousmane Dembele. Again, given his price point, he is going to be one of those players that probably a lot of managers won't own, because he's going to be extremely difficult to find the way to get him in, of course, if you want on a wild card. So I like Dembele. Of course, came on in the second half against Inter Miami, looked fresh, and I definitely think, you know, now we're getting to these big boy games, probably starts that game as well. So yeah, I like Dembele as a pick. Of course, if you're not fancying taking that little bit of a risk, Kvaratskhelia is right there at 9.2 million as well, if you did, of course, want to drop down to him. Again, another player, super high owned, has been pretty decent this tournament. Of course, a blank against Inter Miami, but didn't have, you know, he had his chances to, of course, go and get the attacking returns anyway. But I've gone for Dembele as that potential spicy pick in there. And I think you could also potentially swap out Vinicius Jr. here and also have, you know, Kylian Mbappe if you really fancied up in the spice meter. But we've gone for Vinicius Jr. His minutes have been very, very solid across the tournament. It is a shame that he is down as a striker rather than a midfielder. It does, of course, detract a little bit, of course, with his, you know, his creativity and his overall goal scoring ability. So it would have been nice for him to be a midfielder like he is in, obviously, the fan team games. But overall, still a great pickup for me personally this week, if, of course, you're not fancying Kylian Mbappe. But if you are to fancy taking that gamble on Kylian Mbappe, he is exactly the same price. So, of course, you could go and get him. Let's move on then to our next forward, and it is going to be Marcus Leonardo. I'm going to go with that. The last time I covered this guy, he was 1.7% selected. He's now gone above the 5% threshold. No real surprise, to be honest. A 4 million playing striker that is in the race for the golden boot currently. A decent fixture, as you can see, against Fluminense. We saw that with the betting markets. One of the top teams for projected goals. And a 10-pointer, a 14-pointer. Yeah, and a 4-pointer back there. This guy has been pretty prolific. Of course, no Mitrovic for this tournament, so he's going to be leading the line at 4 million. And if you are, of course, looking for a budget forward pick or a budget player in general this game week, I do feel like he is going to be the standout selection that you should be looking at. Unfortunately, like I said, has crept above the 5% ownership, so we're not going to be picking up any scouting bonus on him, but still at 4 million could be an absolutely cracking buy. Finishing up, it is going to be another big boy, and it is going to be Kane. And the reason I've selected Kane is just to give us a little bit of buying coverage, because you never know, but he is the talisman of this side. He's currently in the golden boot race as well, with 3 goals to his name so far this tournament. Again, like I said, he just fits that talisman profile, and if you do feel like anybody's going to score in that game, probably is going to be Mr. Harry Kane, isn't it? Of course, the penalty taker for this side as well, and like I spoke about, penalties can be one of those things where it can get very, very tasty, you know, as kind of one of those points metrics that just seems to keep adding up overall across a short form tournament like this as well. That was my wildcard team for the quarterfinals, of course. Let me know what you think of it down in the description. If you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in the comments, as we'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. My team selection video will be out tomorrow evening, or tomorrow morning, sorry, and then I hope I can be able to stream for the quarterfinals for the deadline stream before the deadline, like I said, on Friday. I believe the deadline is this week. Like I said, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing, and the best of luck for Matchday 5.